This special WA running podcast training series, The Road to Bunbury Lighthouse, is brought to you by BIX Nutrition Hydration, a local WA company developed by athletes for athletes. BIX Nutrition Hydration products deliver the perfect balance of carbohydrates, electrolytes, and micronutrients in a light, clean, natural taste, ideal for endurance training, racing, and recovery. Fuel your endurance with the newly released BIX Big 40 Energy Gel. Each gel delivers 40 grams of carbohydrates and 160 calories along with 200 milligrams of sodium. The caffeine option provides 75 milligrams of caffeine to keep you focused throughout your workouts, long runs, and races. BIX Nutrition Hydration. Keep showing up.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 004, the finale of Warp's Road to Bunbury Lighthouse training series, brought to you by BIX Nutrition and Hydration. It is Wednesday, 16th of April, and we are here with the team Lighthouse to discuss the incredible performances they put together over the weekend at the Bunbury Three Waters Running Festival. Co-hosting with me this evening is Simon VO Spew Pham, the Prince of Pearsall and the adopted son of Bunbury Runners Club. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Ian Gibbs, the race director, hasn't given me the keys to the city yet or the keys to the Runners Club yet, but I did get a nice welcome on the swamp on Saturday Arvo, so I guess that was good enough.
The initiation is nearly complete.
Yeah, definitely.
And here with us, we have David Perich, the man who shared a loving exchange with me post-race with our toes gently caressing one another. How is the body and how is the mind?
The body's not too bad. The quads are a little sore. I've gone for a couple of shuffle walks around the place. The mind's in a very dark place, which I'm sure we'll get to. The episode.
Bit of therapy today then.
Yeah, it may be.
And Simon's favourite grunter and someone who might have escaped work duties post-race due to a technicality, Ashlee Ritson, how are you feeling?
Very good, thank you. I don't know where that grunting came from. It was, I know at one point when Simon turned around and was looking at me like, what is that noise? What are you doing? And I don't know what it was either.
Usually the grunting comes from me when I do VO2 workouts, but it was new. It was new.
Look, I was working hard.
Yeah, must have been. I mean, you were approaching the hill at that point and, only a kilometre to go and it all on the line.
Yes, that's right. And I did massage two people at the massage tent after the race because, technically I didn't go under 3 hours. So made sure I showed my face in there. It was very late in the day.
Very good, very good. Jackson Lemin, the Sandwich Nazi, gave the steak sanga at the Rose Hotel a 7.2. Care to explain yourself and were you tempted to go to the froth instead?
Oh, no, I look, 7.2 is not a bad score, to be honest. Just a few things to kind of tidy up. The steak itself was like the char on it was excellent. Fillings were good. Just, it didn't wow me, it didn't have that X factor I was looking for. But, it was a decent steak sandwich. It just didn't blow the scale right open. But, happy to be here.
Glad to have you. And finally, Hannah Paget. Everywhere we went with you on Sunday, someone seemed to be calling your name. How's recovery going?
Recovery's going good, thanks. The body's feeling all right. I had a couple of sore spots, but feeling good now.
Cool. Any yoga post-race to loosen things up?
I've started with just some slow yin type stuff. So actually going tomorrow morning to my first class again since my ankle swelled up. So that'll be exciting for me.
Yeah, very good, very good. All right, well, before we get into race recaps, we'll just reflect on the event itself. Simon, did you want to take us through this section?
Yeah, well, let's start with you, Jackson. So we'll start with the city boy who was doing the event for the first time. So did you get to Bunbury okay? Was it on the Saturday? Did you stay left on the outer ring road? And how did you find the weekend and the event itself?
Yeah, I got down okay. I stayed left on the world's biggest roundabout and just kept going left. There was a few times where I looked down and was like, is it here or there? But, the signs on highways are always a bit ambiguous and open to interpretation. But yeah, look, I in terms of the weekend and everything, like if someone had said to me, like that's exactly how it was going to go, I would have taken it. I had a perfect weekend, perfect drive down, perfect night before the race. Like just everything just went to plan. And the motel was good. Bunbury's a beautiful place. I kind of forgot, how nice of a little town it is. It really reminds you of Mandurah. But yeah, it got down okay, and yeah, everything was really good. And the hospitality, the race itself was good, and all the kind of people that I got to chat to from the Bunbury Runners Club were all really nice and welcoming people. So yeah, had a fantastic little weekend getaway, and I'm sure we'll go into the race a little bit later as well.
Good to hear, mate. And had a little interview post-race, I believe, with Amy, I think it was, at the finish line there.
Yeah, felt like a bit of a local celebrity. I don't know how many people that were standing around were actually listening to us and our conversation, but no, Amy was a really cool chick, and it was nice. I've never been interviewed like that before. Never thought I'd get interviewed about my running. So yeah, that was a cool experience as well.
Excellent. And so we were talking about your lead-in and your nutrition leading up to the race and race morning. So did that all go to plan in terms of your 4 crumpets, your 5 kilograms of dates and so forth?
Yeah. The lead up and the carb load and all that, I hit all the numbers that I wanted to. I had my 4 crumpets and my dates in the morning, and I just kind of stuck to what I knew. Like I didn't go out for dinner the night before and things like that. I just kind of wanted to like control the controllables and like really like just dial in all the little 1-2%ers that I could for this race, and just kind of like put everything I could into it and try and get, the best out of myself. So yeah, the lead up and the night before and things like that all went to plan. Went for a little shakeout, felt good. Yeah, I tapered pretty aggressively this time around. Like last time when I went into Perth, I tried to keep running and not lose any fitness, which is, I'm sure a lot of people have made similar mistakes in their first marathon. So I just learnt from what I did at Perth and just tried to like do things a little bit differently this time around. And I guess it paid off in the end.
We're good. All right. How about yourself, Hannah? So we warmed up and cooled down together, and like we touched on earlier in the episode, it seems like you're a bit of a local celebrity in town. How'd you find the events from previous years that you may have competed in?
I felt like the event itself seems to have really grown at this amazing vibe I've been a member of the club for over 10 years, I think, and it's just grown in the last few years. They've got this amazing vibe that everyone seems to be really enjoying. Me, myself, that's probably my worst performance there this year, but that's okay.
Excellent. And then how about yourself, David? So you went down with the family and stayed nearby in Donnybrook. It's the second time doing Bunbury. How was the event experience for you?
Yeah, overall it was good. Like my brother is over from the UK, and it was my mum's birthday on the Sunday, so it was good to have the whole fam there. It did feel like a bigger vibe than last year, like from what I remember. Like felt like heaps of people, especially after the event. I can't remember if we stuck around that long last year, but sticking around for like a good hour and having the bar there and stuff was really great. The race was a different story.
But the event itself was good.
Yeah, the event was great. The race itself, not as great.
And then finally with you, Ashlee, how's the atmosphere compared to previous years for yourself?
Yeah, similar to what Hannah said, like there's a real good vibe this year, a really good atmosphere. And I loved that, like the second lap of the marathon when I got to see you were surrounded by other marathoners, half marathoners, the 5s, the 10s, everyone. And it was just really cool to see that many people out running in Bunbury. So that was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it did seem like there was an enormous number of people who had come down or come up from other places. And so, yeah, great to see so many different faces from all over the place, I guess. Yeah. I mean, we mentioned in the group chat during the week that, despite various difficulties that some of you encountered on the weekend. You should all be extremely proud for the runs that you put together. We'd love to hear your thoughts on your race. So maybe we'll start with you, Hannah. We were, like as Simon said, we were fortunate enough to warm up and cool down together on the weekend. And I was standing next to you on the line. And as you kindly pointed out to me today, it did look like I'd seen the sun for the first time. But no, you certainly had a calm that you were exuding on the start line, whereas I felt like a fidgety mess. And obviously the yoga's working. Take us through your race and the final push to from the lighthouse with Kate Pritchett on your shoulder.
Yeah, I guess so. Eventually, I did get a bit of a race plan, and the plan was to go out at about 4-minute Ks for the first half, and then push a little bit below the 4s if I could for the second half. But I think the first K was a 3:53, and then the next 5 weren't much different from that. I actually had a friend say to me on the Sunday night, he's like, so when you looked at your watch on the first K and you saw 3:53, and then you looked at your watch on the second K and you saw something similar, what were you thinking? And I was like, I don't know, I just kept running. So I absolutely paid for it. It's almost like I was just running my first half marathon for just making all those mistakes that I made probably 10 years ago. So I was sorted out by the time I got to the lighthouse the first time. Actually, a Bunbury guy who was down at Delirious, crewing and pacing there, also came back to Bunbury and ran that race. And he just cruised past me going up that hill, and that's when I knew I was cooked. So, the second half of the race was kind of like, if I can hold on around the 4:20s or something and just sit relatively comfortably in that, there's not really much point flogging a dead horse because I've certainly killed it. And then Shelley came past me on Jetty Road, I think, and she was just cruising and looking great. So that was fantastic. And then I think Kate overtook me on the hill up to the lighthouse where I'd just all but packed it in. So, and ultimately I think on the finish line it was about 2 seconds between us. So it was good fun either way.
Was there any temptation to maybe flog it down the hill and take over Kate after she'd taken you on the hill?
Would have been nice, but I think the result was an appropriate result and a fair representation of my effort on the day.
No, very good. Well,
definitely. It's always nice, that fantasy of getting someone on the finishing line, but not for me.
Maybe next time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was points in my race. I probably ran it pretty similarly to you, Hannah, where I flogged it at the start and then paid for it in the back half. But there were definitely moments where I thought I would come back and run with you because, you did offer that to me during the week to come and run, but didn't eventuate. But
I should never put that idea in your head.
Yeah.
I think the minute you put that idea in someone's head, it gets dangerous.
Do you think the allure of the prize money sent you out pretty quick in the first couple of Ks, Hannah?
I don't think so, because I knew that first was never an option. I knew that the times that Astrid was going to run were well beyond my capability at the moment. I think for me, it's the hype of the people, Bunbury being my home ground. And like you said, there's pretty much every single intersection, every aid station. It's people that know me and really do want to see me do well, and that excitement. Yeah. So you might have said that I was, looking calm on the start line, and I was feeling quite calm there. But the minute you start seeing people that are your real supporters out on course, you kind of, it brings you up, but also to my detriment, I let it get ahead of me, and I just really wanted to perform for them and ended up, I guess, making some silly decisions. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I feel like the guy playing the drums at the start definitely hyped me up, and I feel like I went out at 4:15s just being hyped up by the drums. So I can imagine why. I can imagine everyone's first Ks would have been pretty spicy as a result. Like, he did too good of a job, is what I'm saying.
It was like we were marching into war.
Exactly. Agree.
I think I said to you, Chris, when he started, it was like the minute that drum started, we weren't even on the start line, but it just felt like instant anxiety.
I was just touching my face and my ears and just trying to like do something with my hands because I was like, yeah, it really kind of amped me up. So yeah. Dave, let's go to you, mate. Yeah, as you mentioned, probably not the result you're after. But you trained like an absolute powerhouse in the lead up to this race, and despite missing the goal that you had, you obviously ran a big PB and didn't give up despite encountering what I understand was some pretty serious stitches through that middle kind of 10K of the race. Do you want to talk us through how you went?
Yeah. 3-minute PB. Feel super disappointed with that. I think like we talked about last week or last record, the goals were not to blow up before 36K, so failed on that. And to feel like I kind of left everything out there, which I definitely didn't. So failed at both the kind of process goals, which I'm more disappointed with than any time. Like I said, like I felt I was kind of fit enough to go close to sub 3, but you can never control what time you get exactly. The race I was running with James Richardson, is that an Ash for a lot of it? I think cruising for the first half, we went through at 1 hour 28:45 and felt really good. Was probably yapping a bit too much with James the first half. I did think that was maybe a mistake, but I was feeling really good. And then this is my narrative of what happened, but I took a water at that on the oval there, and like I'd felt like running back from the turn where you come back to the start. Felt hot with the sun, like maybe it was just like the clouds cleared for that moment. It's like, oh, I'll try and make sure I get some water. So I took quite a lot of water on then, and then got a stitch over the next few Ks, and I was like just sat in behind James, and I think Ash was behind me, and then kind of dealt with it and got rid of it. And then my like alarm went off to have a gel, and I was like, oh, I better have this gel. And like I'd just gotten over the stitch, so I took the gel, and then the stitch came back, and like kind of we were still cruising at the same pace until about 26, 27 Ks. And then I just spiraled out of control after that. Like the stitch came back with a vengeance. I feel like I ripped the BIX gel poorly and was like sucking it in rather than doing anything a normal human being would do. And then I just went out of control basically. Like I didn't have the tools to deal with it. I feel like I didn't have the mental tools to like kind of like, well, just go back to a steady pace and like try and get rid of it. I kept trying to like slow down to get rid of the stitch and then like go back up to marathon pace. And I ended up stopping like 4 or 5 times, and each time trying to like go back up what was close to marathon pace, and then a K or so like having to stop again. And it wasn't like, I think I could have, even with the stitch, I've left 3 to 5 minutes out there. Like it was not like I was in so much pain that I couldn't have kept going. I was kind of spiraled out of control. And then the last 5Ks, like around 37, I didn't take any more gels or liquid after about like 30Ks, I reckon. And that got rid of it eventually. And then I was like pushing back to like the 4:30 pace. And then when I saw all you guys, Chris, who were doing a cool down, I was running at like 3:55 or something. So I was kind of flying for the last 2Ks. But obviously I had wasted 10Ks out there, like fucking around, thinking about quitting and just getting someone to come pick me up.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, the fact that you finished is, you should be proud of. Like, the easier thing would have been to throw the towel in, for sure.
Yeah, and I kind of did. I reckon the one other thing, potentially, this is a like a non-race thing. Potentially, like burnt myself out with the level of focus that I put on this race. Like, I was saying to people before the start that I was like suspiciously relaxed. Like usually I would get a little bit nervous before races or soccer games and stuff. I was not nervous at all. I slept well, almost like I didn't care. I don't know whether that's like a coping mechanism because you've invested so much time in like training that you don't like kind of protects you from failure, or whether it's I didn't actually care that much anymore after kind of thinking about it for too long. But I didn't have the fight in me to really like push through like the pain I was feeling in those middle Ks to like, I reckon if I'd gotten over the Lighthouse Hill again, still with James and Ash, and then kind of like maybe I would have stuck it out for a bit longer. But the K leading up to that, I was kind of, I dropped off massively.
I think that's probably a similar reflection to my race last year at Bunbury. Like I went into Bunbury last year so relaxed. I think I was saying to Chris last year that wasn't nervous. It was my third time doing the Bunbury Marathon, so felt like I was going through the motions. Even when we were warming up last year, I was sort of that similar mentality to you, not feeling like I cared about the race, which it's that balance, right? I feel like I think I should have been nervous about the race and I just wasn't. And then when times got a bit hard, I think once I got my first cramp at around that jetty mark, I was willing to just put the towel in. Like just the moment of adversity, I just felt like giving up. So I wonder if there was something to it. I did cramp very badly, but you kind of left wondering whether or not there was a little bit more I could have done there in terms of the mental preparation for the race.
I mean, thanks for being open. I mean, I think it's hard to understand, the decisions you make in those times of a race, especially a marathon where you've been running for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and your brain's not really ready to make decisions like that where, I haven't encountered a stitch in my training before, so like, what do I do? You do the first thing that is, comes to you as instinct. And sometimes that's the best decision. And sometimes you might feel like that is, in hindsight, might have been the wrong one. So
yeah, definitely. It's the instincts thing. Like I've been comparing it to soccer this week where it's like, I played soccer for 20 years and hundreds of matches and you build up all these instincts. This is the second marathon that I've raced. And so it's like, I don't have good instincts and I haven't faced, well, actually I have faced a stitch before in 3:30 and Simon yelled at me for like half an hour to get to, and that didn't help either. So that's not a good call.
I was going to say maybe next time.
Yeah. So I don't know what exactly the good approach is, but probably just back off the liquids and gels until you can kind of get over it and then go again.
I mean, to put it into perspective, it is only your second marathon as well. Yeah. And we are getting into the pointy end of pace in a marathon. So
I think there's a long way to go for the pointy end size, surely.
Yeah, but I mean, sub 3 hours 10 is doing mean feet, right? I mean, for me, my first marathon was 4 hours 45 and it was 4 hours. So like, I think you just learn as you go, and it is only the second. I know you'd hate to hear the fact that you might have to do another marathon, but everything's a learning opportunity, right?
For sure. All right. Well, Jackson, Ash, we'll go with Ash first. Ash.
Yeah, you got the two failures out of the way first.
We can circle back to you. We can circle back to you too if you want.
Yeah.
No, look, Ash, at the outset of the series, you hinted at, potentially running a 3:05 after having run a 3:06 at Busso Bay Run a couple of years ago. And then Simon and I basically peer pressured you into trying to run a 3-hour marathon. You looked like you were ready to give it a crack. And from what you produced on the weekend, you were clearly able to do so. So, you got so close. You finished up third. How do you think your race went?
Well, it was pretty funny because I actually thought that I had finished under 3 hours. So I had like that initial disappointment when everyone was saying to me, "Oh, are you disappointed?" And I was like, "No, this is great. This is exactly what I wanted." And then I realized that I actually didn't finish under 3 hours. It was 48 seconds over. So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I was probably more annoyed then that I had to go and face up to the massage tent and see Sean in there, especially because he will tell you that he's done a 3-hour 10 marathon, and it wasn't. It was 3 hours 10 minutes and a few seconds. So I knew I had absolutely nothing to stand on there. But yeah, after that, I was so happy with how it all went, considering, I just didn't have perfect training. And I know like nobody has perfect training, but it was so inconsistent and there was just not enough Ks. And the first half of the marathon was just awesome. It was easy. I was feeling light, just having chats and having a bit of banter with people along the course. And then as we came through for that second lap, so at the 21K mark, my legs just turned to lead. Like they were just so heavy. And I was like, that's not right. That's like, that was meant to happen at 30Ks. I was ready for that ball at 30Ks, not at 21. It's way too early. So that was sort of the first time I had to give myself a bit of a, stern talking to, and just push through that, because I know that it will pass. I think I've done enough long, not necessarily marathons, but endurance runs where it will pass. It's only a matter of time, and you just get something back again after that. So it took about 5Ks, and I think that was another point where, Dave and James, they were often just out ahead of me a lot of the time, always just running a little bit faster, especially in that sort of first lap and a bit. But I sort of always felt like if I could just keep them in my vision, just in front, then they're going to run under 3 hours, so I'll be fine. But yeah, then after, pretty much coming back past the Runners Club, so I think that's around 27Ks or something like that. The heaviness just left me, and I started feeling pretty good again. And I could see James, he was a fair bit out in front of me at that point, and I was like, I'll just see if I can, stay this sort of distance behind him. And yeah, just kept pushing. And then that section where you've got about 5Ks to go and you do a little turnaround so you can see everyone that's kind of, a few minutes ahead of you. And again, I saw James. And I was like, I can easily catch him. We've only got 5Ks to go. We're on here. So just kept pushing that little bit each K. And in my mind, I, was catching James. But I think what was actually happening was James was just slowing down a little bit, and he wasn't going to finish under 3 hours. So when we had about, it was when I saw you guys, so Chris and Simon and Hannah, you guys were all waiting around a K to go. I was so excited. I was like, there's all my best friends, I'm going to run this amazing marathon. Look at me go. And then, just that last little hill, I was like, doesn't matter how hard it is, just push through. And I think that's where some of the grunting started. It was just a bit of a blur now. And then, it flew down the other side. And then I heard Amy, the MC, she said something Ash was going to go for a sub 3. And I was like, what is she talking about? I've done this. So, like I said, initial, that tiny bit of disappointment, but afterwards I was stoked with my time and how the race went. And I don't think there is anywhere I could have put in any more effort or I could run any faster. I'm so really happy. I feel like I put everything into it that I possibly could have. So I'm pretty satisfied to walk away from that. And it was funny, after the race I was talking to my mum, and she knew that I wanted to go under the 3 hours, and she said something like, oh, well, you can't expect everything just to happen straight away. And I was like, well, she's right. I think that was a good little, harsh piece of advice as well, because, I didn't do the mileage and the training, and that's why I slowed down in that second half. So that was, a nice little bit of advice from mum.
Yeah, sometimes the harsh advice from a parent really lands, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So the game plan going into it was all to run by feel. So was there any moment where you were looking at your watch to see, moments where you perhaps slowed down and you were tempted to look at your watch to see where you were at?
Yeah, definitely towards the start when everyone sort of took off and I was just running at what felt comfortable for me, and Dave and James were out a fair bit ahead of me. I think there was a few times there. So just before we got to the swamp, I was having a look just to see are they running at pace and I'm going really slow, or what's going on here? But I think they were just running a little bit faster than the kind of the 4:15. I reckon they were probably, I don't know, maybe about 4:10 or something, and I was probably around 4:15, 4:18. So definitely at the very start I did, but then after that I didn't want to look at it. And like I said, James was going to go under 3 hours, so as long as I was ahead of him, I was fine.
I'm just looking at your Strava map, and it seems like as you were entering the swamp, you started to speed up a bit. So I was wondering whether or not that's just familiarity with the swamp sessions.
Yeah, no, that's definitely home turf around the swamp. Yeah. Just imagining Shelley running next to me. Yeah.
I think it's remarkable not to really. For me, I have to use the watch as a means of control and kind of self validation, but to not have to rely on it, I think is really admirable. And obviously, you're running very well in order to be able to confidently go out and do that for 30 Ks or so. It's pretty special. Jackson, all right, mate. Well, you fucking nailed it, didn't you?
Yep. Oh God, it felt good. God, it felt so good. Look, it went absolutely perfectly. I ran, a 2.5 minute negative split. I went out easy. My first couple of Ks were like 5:10. I eased into it. Then I just kind of sat around that 5 minute average pace until 21. I went through half at 1:45:30 and was like, yep, I'm in control here. I'm feeling good. The only time when I kind of questioned whether or not I had it was kind of around that 26 to 30K mark when I was like, oh, it's starting to get tough, but I've just been running, over 2 hours at marathon pace. Like it's going to get, a little bit tough. And then I'd queued my music to play 3 podcasts and then start music at around the kind of 2.5 hour mark. And then when the music came on at 30.5, I was like, all right, let's put the foot down a little bit. But the effort I was putting the foot down at, I was still coming out at 4:55 to 5 minute pace. And I was like, oh no, this could be a bit troublesome. But yeah, managed to find a little group of 3 of us for that 30 to 36. And then from 36 to 42, I just, came home super strong, ran a few 440 Ks to finish and it just went perfectly. And coming from Perth and just, blowing up there and the feeling of just being in absolute despair, to not have that happen. I think for the people that saw me cross the line, I can't remember if I shouted out with just a woo or a come on or a F yeah. I can't remember what it was, but a lot of emotion, poured out of me at the finish line. And I think it was just, not just the fact that I just ran 3 hours and 28 minutes something, and had a really good, race, but just it showed me that all them weeks of training and everything that I'd put into it, when I set out to run a sub 3:30, that was so ambitious. That was crazy, and just all the work that I'd put in from Perth to Bunbury on Sunday, that emotion just came out, and it was a great feeling.
No, it's awesome. Yeah, I know how it feels, mate. It's pretty special when you nail it, and you clearly did. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that moment at the end of the finish line there. You kind of took off another 50, 60 meters, and it looked like you might have been trying to get 42.195 kilometers on the Strava, but
pretty close.
Yeah.
I did. I was at 42.22, and I wanted to get to 0.3 just to make sure.
Yeah, no, very good. No, that's amazing, mate. The fact that a 2.5 minute negative split is pretty solid, and being able to put the foot down in those last few Ks, pretty special, mate. How did you celebrate after the race?
With a lot of food, a lot of food. Yeah, I think initially after the race, it was really nice to have my dad and my stepmom there, and for them to just be, super proud of me, and they came down and watched. So that was a cool feeling to have them at the finish. And then to have you guys there as well. When I signed up for Bunbury, I thought I'd just drive down and, run it as a bit of a solo business trip, and I'd just kind of be on my own, I didn't expect any of my mates to drive all the way down to Bunbury to watch me run. So to have people at the finish was really good. And then, afterwards, we went to the Rose, as mentioned, and then I just ate so much food in my hotel room, and it was great. I loved it.
Fantastic, mate. Great recap. Speaking of the Rose, you guys all went there after the race, and I had to duck home. Was there anything you guys said about me that I need to know about on a podcast?
We talked about your coaching credentials a little bit, and whether or not you've received some requests for training plans and coaching. So, as covered in the weekly episode, it seems like you did.
Yeah, I did have a friend of mine that I wouldn't say I was coaching him, but gave him some guidance, and he managed to run a pretty good marathon himself. So yeah,
I want it on the record that Chris was my official coach for this bad performance.
You're going to blame the performance entirely on him?
Yeah. Not enough focus on the mental side of things and too much on the mileage.
Definitely.
Yeah. One of my key takeaways was when David left, there was a lot of talk about he'd put in such a good training block that we were kind of all surprised that he didn't get his goal. So maybe there's a little bit of satisfaction to take out of that, Dave.
Nah, I will not be doing that.
Fuel yourself for the next one.
No, thanks, guys. Thanks for sharing those stories with us. And just to address what you said earlier, Dave, it's not about failures and success. I think everybody had a successful race in different ways. So, yes, I did want to get Jackson to cap his race off at the end because he certainly was the kind of 23-minute PB is a big one. And so, yeah, worth celebrating for sure. Look, I'm still buzzing basically from the energy last Sunday. I think I've said that to you guys on the group chat, but it was just so great having all of you in one place, all of us together, and having that time to actually reflect on our days and the conversations we'd had over the past few months, and just wanted to show our appreciation to you guys for the fact that you've joined us on this journey, and really happy to have you all. You've all contributed in your own way, and I'm sure the listeners have actually learned quite a lot from listening to these episodes. Hopefully you can all enjoy a little bit of downtime now that you're no longer going to be featuring on a podcast every 4 weeks, but I'm sure that you potentially already have races that you're targeting or eyeing off over the next few months. Ash, I think post-race we were sitting on the grass and talking about your preferences on the marathon versus the longer ultra distances, and you mentioned that 100k races seem to be your sweet spot. Are you mad? And are there any ideas on what is on the cards for the short or long term?
Yeah, I do like the 100k distance. I feel like that's a nice, you don't have to run too fast, but it's also not, I find like the 100 milers, they're so much more, maybe it's this like the sleep deprivation with it as well that you get. I mean, it's only one night, but like you still get like the sleep factor too. So yeah, 100Ks is just nice. It's like a nice big long day of running and eating. So yeah, they're good. But no, definitely, I think I've gone the opposite way to most people. I spent my like 20s and early 30s doing ultras, and now I want to do faster marathons and 10s and 5s and that sort of thing, which is a terrible idea to do in your late 30s. But I'm still going to try and push out for another half marathon this year. So probably the one in August up in the WA Marathon Club. So I'd like to get a good time for that. And then for the marathon, I didn't sign up in time, but I'm on the wait list for Perth. But I'm not really that passionate about the Perth Marathon. There's a lot of people I've spoken to that have run it, and the course just doesn't excite me as much as I guess as other ones. So I'm not, really committed to that just yet. Of course, like Three Waters next year, and then I would like to do another like long distance one, but maybe even just something like Sandman, something like that next year, which would fit into everything quite nicely for like leading into Three Waters next year. But yeah, I've got some really important crewing duties to do next weekend. I've got to repay Pete back for the crewing work that he did on the weekend. So he's got a mountain biking race down in Northcliffe. So that'll be my next job.
Very good, very good. And I think you mentioned Waterous Trail on foot on Sunday as an option, but it sounded like that race isn't going ahead. Yeah,
I don't know why, but I just know on the website it said that it's cancelled for this year, but they've got the date booked in because it's always on the long weekend in September. But so they've got the date up there for 2026. So I would have liked to have done that this year. That was I don't know why it's not on.
If you can run 3 hours and 50 seconds off 60k weeks, I'd love to see what you could run a marathon off on a proper 12-week training block. So that's definitely something I'm going to keep my eyes out for. So please run another marathon.
I'll give it a crack.
You might have to gun for Hannah's time at Perth Running Festival.
Yep. Well, I did joke about doing the Ritson record, but
Of course.
yeah. So just got to do a 2:26, and
That's in there somewhere.
yeah.
For sure. All right, Jackson. So you've conquered the marathon, mate, and you flagged a little bit of downtime and a bit of a reset when we spoke on the weekend. Could we see a full-time food critic gig on the cards?
I wish. Unfortunately not. But yeah, in terms of what's kind of coming up, I mean, I have every best intention to get back into the gym and do some like strength training. I was doing it like pretty consistently there about a year ago, but it kind of fell away as running picked up. That's the rough game plan, but I'm sure I'll get sick of that in 2-3 weeks' time and probably sign up for something, maybe a half. I haven't really had a good crack at a half just yet. Maybe a 10K, maybe another marathon. Maybe Bunbury next year. Yeah, I'm just, since like Perth went so poorly last time, and I didn't get poorly, but I didn't get what I wanted. I just tried to be like, allow myself to enjoy this. Like, allow myself to be like, you achieved your goal, you set out, on something and you got it. Like, you don't need to go chase the next thing right now. Just, take a bit of time, enjoy it, relax. You can always come back and do something down the line. So yeah, no plan set in stone as of yet, but I'm sure my life will get very boring without running 7 to 8 hours a week. And I'll probably do another marathon by the end of the year, let's be real.
No, it's a good point you touch on there, being able to just remind yourself why you enjoy running, because I think sometimes a marathon block can you can lose sight of that, particularly when you're kind of 3 or 4 weeks out from a marathon. So yeah, it's important to take a bit of time to reflect on what you've achieved, and then maybe adjust your goals or look for some bold new ones in the future.
Yeah, sub 3 one day.
Well, you took 23 minutes off this one, mate, so maybe you'll take 28 minutes off the next one.
Jeez, it's a big jump. Maybe 3:15, and then we'll get there in increments.
If it interests you at all, Smarilli and I will be pacing the 3:15 group at Perth Running Festival, so you're more than welcome to jump on the bandwagon.
I'll keep the option open.
Yeah, very good, Dave. Like, obviously missed the goal, but you've made some huge leaps and bounds in your fitness, and that'll definitely set you up nicely for races over the next few months if you choose to do them. Are you going to go again, or are we likely to see you return to football?
Unsure at this point. I'm trying to not rush into anything this week, and a lot of my energy is being spent trying not to be a grump around the house. So yeah, I'm going to wallow this week, and then we'll think about next week. I'm keen to do a quick 5K soon while I've got some fitness. Simon's trying to get me to race him in the half marathon, which
It's only a month away.
Yeah, it's only a month away. I don't know. I'm keen. The thing I've been thinking about is I'm keen to keep up the really long runs. So like I really enjoyed the going out for 3 hours on a weekend, or and even keen to push that and do some longer, super easy, longer stuff. But if I decide to do football, then they're kind of incompatible goals. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what I'll do. I'm signed up to pace the 3:30 at Perth Marathon with Simon. So I'll try and keep some fitness so I can do a good job for that. But yeah, not going to rush into another marathon race anytime soon.
Well, yeah, look, if you want to pace job for a month's time. I'll help you beat Simon if you like.
Well, won't you be? You'll be pacing him too.
I guess so. Well, I think by the sounds of it, I might be pacing Hannah as well. I think, Hannah, you mentioned that maybe Joondalup's on the cards for you in a couple of months or in a month's time. Is that something have you signed up, or it would be great to get the crew back together again?
Yeah, no, I'd love to go. I think because I had a discussion with James. So I actually have just today commit to Sunshine Coast Marathon in August, and he was talking about a half to do leading up to it, and he mentioned June. I thought he mentioned Joondalup, and I thought he meant it was a bit later. Like, I'm not sure I'm ready to do one in another month, but I'll have another chat with him, and if he says to do it, I said to him at the time, I was like, this is the point where you just step in and make the decisions for me now. I mean, after Sunday, clearly I can't make good decisions for myself. So.
Oh, no.
I would still love to go. But, we'll just see what the most appropriate. Definitely want to do a half between now and Sunshine Coast, so whatever one works.
And how did the debrief go with James after the race on the weekend? Was there any pointers that he or anything any wisdom that he passed on to you that you were going to share with us?
We haven't had an actual chat yet. I just sent him a message that just said ha 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 ha. Oops. And he was like, he obviously hadn't looked, and he was like, oh, what? He said, was the suggested pace not good? And I said, I'm sure the suggested pace would have been fine. However, running at 3:53 was stupid. And he just said, yeah, that'll do it. So we'll have a chat in another week or so, I think. And, then I'm sure he'll give me all his wisdom.
Sunshine Coast Marathon, that's exciting. Not one I've done before. Have you done that one, Simon?
No. So when is that? That's August, did you say?
Early August, I think.
Interesting.
Very cool.
So I missed the boat on Gold Coast and thought Sunshine Coast gives an extra month. So it sounds good to me. I need it.
My sister lives over in Brisbane, and August would be a convenient time for me to go to Brisbane. So that might be something in the Google search a bit later on in the week.
Maybe a road to Sunshine Coast Marathon series.
For the WA running podcast seems a little bit strange, but hey.
We've done worse.
Cool. No, that's exciting, guys. Look, everyone's going to have something. I'm sure, Dave, after you've had your chance to wallow, you'll find something that's exciting you too. So good to hear everyone's still thinking about running again and not potentially just giving it up altogether.
I've got to get a official sub-18 before Simon does, because time trials don't count, do they?
No, they don't. And you think of doing Frio Ports Classic? Is that the plan?
The rematch?
Yeah, we could do a rematch.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell Tina tonight. All right. Well, I think we'll leave it at that. Hey. So many thanks to BIX Nutrition for supporting athletes on the road to Bunbury Lighthouse. It's been an exceptional partnership and one we look forward to continuing with in the near future. For those listening, remember to use the code WARP for 20% off your next purchase of BIX products to support your endurance training needs. Ash, Jackson, Hannah and David, thank you again for taking the time to join us on our debut training series. And like we said earlier in the episode, we're so grateful to have you guys on the last 4 episodes with us, losing a bit of your privacy, putting yourself out there and sharing your journey with the listeners. We look forward to organising a team Lighthouse run when we're all together again. All the best in your future running endeavours, and we'll see you all very soon.
Thanks, Simon. It's been a pleasure.
Simon.
Thanks, guys.
Any commentary?
Yeah, just shout out BIX. Them gels are so good. And Carlos, 234 was rapid.
So fast.
And Bunbury, so fast. Bunbury, good course. Get down there, Good event. Loved it.